This is Coupled for Life,
your marriage podcast with Jason and Elizabeth Franklin.
sparking communication in intertribal and intercultural marriages.
Love like this, whoever thought it could be? All I know, God had picked you for me.
Welcome to today's episode of Coupled for Life, where we spark communication in your marriage.
My name is Elizabeth Wanjiru Franklin.
And I am
Jason Franklin Ochola.
And I am her co-host, Jason Franklin Ochola, her husband.
Okay, sir. It has been said.
Now, the year is 2010.
The year is 2010. This is a continuation of our previous episode. So if you haven't listened to that, click back and listen to our previous episode.
Please do.
And then come back here so that you're not lost.
No, you don't want to be lost. You want to walk with us this journey. So, the year is 2010. You've gotten born again. You've read 2 books on marriage. I don't know where your New Believers book is, but you've got
I've put it aside.
You put it aside
And focused on marriage.
and focused on marriage.
Oh, let me tell you.
Yes.
My mind was the farthest from marriage.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, at one point within the following year, 2011, I went to the prayer mountain, seeking God's face. And it was not about marriage. In fact, I didn't want to think about being in a relationship. When I went to the prayer mountain, I went to pray concerning ministry because I needed God to show me the direction. Mm-hmm. And I think after reading those books, the one thing that I now knew to desire was to not have anyone date me unless they were going to be my husband.
Wow.
It became such a desire that I wanted God to show himself just the way he had shown himself on behalf of these other couples that I had read about. Mm-hmm. Like, if you truly do write love stories, then I want you to write my love story. Mm-hmm. And the next person I date, they better be my husband.
Yeah.
I am tired of heartbreaks. I am tired of thinking this relationship is going to go somewhere and then it doesn't. I mean, history had proven that I was the worst at making choices when it came to men and who to date and what path of life to take. Mm-hmm. History had shown me that I was the poorest. I thought I knew exactly what I wanted, but track record shows wrong. You know? Yeah. And so at that point, I had decided, you know what, God, run this ship. Mm-hmm. The next man who will date me will be the one that I marry.
Wow.
And let me tell you, love, that decision took me on a roller coaster that I could not even have imagined it would take me on. Because you see, now I am born again, but I want to live right. And here is a guy who I like, and he likes me back.
Yeah.
But, again, God honors our vows.
Yes, he does.
And he stuck to his vow, even more than I stuck to mine. Mm-hmm. Like, as much as I desired to be dated only by my husband, he's a nice guy. Mm-hmm. Here is a man who is looking in my direction. And, my goodness, he's born again, check. Mm-hmm. He looks good, check. Mm-hmm. I look good next to him, check. Let's do this. But no one, even when they liked me back and even were in love, for some reason we could not date. Mm-hmm. It didn't make sense. But I look back now, and it was such a miracle because God saved me. And the first person I dated was my husband, but now I've jumped that story.
You've jumped that story. I'm trying to wonder.
I have jumped that story.
How are we going to bring in the audience?
Let's go back.
The year is 2011.
So I said I went to the prayer mountain. and I was seeking God's face on ministry and the direction that I should have been taking. And so when I went there, I went with a friend of mine. And for some reason, every speaker that was giving the word in the evenings, because that's when we would all come together and we would have communal prayer and preaching at the end of the day. It seemed like every preacher spoke on marriage, on a relationship, and I was very, very confused.
And not on what had taken you
No,
there.
in fact, I left that prayer mountain knowing that I had completely missed God. Or I had arrived at the mountain on a day when he was talking about, he was meant to talk about
marriage
relationships and marriage. I should have come either the previous week or the following week.
Or the
'cause-
previous month.
or the previous month or the next month, when it was the month for the topic of ministry.
Yeah.
Because that's what I wanted him to talk to me about.
Yes.
But he talked nothing about it.
Yes.
And I left that mountain, and it was amazing the sequence of events that took place after I left that prayer center. One of the things that happened was my dad, who is now late, he called me up and he told me, I had a dream about you. You were preaching before many people, and this is the topic that you are preaching about. And that topic that he told me about was one that was in my heart at the time, you know? And so I sat up and listened, and he said the most strange words to me. He told me, you have my blessing in ministry, and you have my blessing for the man that you will marry.
Wow.
Like, he released me for ministry and for marriage.
Wow.
And I just stood there transfixed, because we had never had such conversations with my dad before.
Wow.
In fact, I think at this particular point, I hadn't even disclosed that I was leaving the corporate world to get into full-time ministry. So for him to have a dream or a vision and then call me up and give me that release and speak a blessing over me for my marriage and for the way forward in ministry,
Wow.
amazing. So that was the first thing that happened. Now I started seeing a pattern. And so I started to write things down,
Wow.
because I realized that these are not one-offs, and something is happening here, and I need to sit up and pay attention. And so I began writing things down. Now the second thing that happened, a friend of mine called me up, and she had had a dream about me.
You're a woman of dreams.
I am a woman dreamt about. And she called me and told me, I had a dream about you, and it was your wedding day. This is the kind of dress that you are wearing. Your hair was this way. These were the colors. It was in this location. This is what happened.
Wow.
Your husband was tall. He was dark. He sang for you.
Wow.
He played keyboard. And it was in such details. Such vivid details. And we joked, like girls do. And I'd be laughing back and asking her, no way, what else did you see?
Yeah.
And then she would tell me, and we would laugh and laugh and laugh. But at the end of that conversation, I knew this was serious, because there was a series of things that were happening. There was a sequence of things that were happening that showed me that this was not just another coincidence. And so I wrote everything down.
Wow.
Now, she had said such details, including the name of my husband, including the name of the man who was marrying me on my wedding day.
Wow.
And she said another name. I remember it started with a J, but to me it came as Jason. And I asked her details, more and more details about this man. What did he look like? And she said he was dark. Now, in my life at the time, I did not know of any Jasons. And the one that I knew, that was not his main name. And he was light. And I was interested in him.
This is the one you are interested in.
I am interested
Previously.
in, yes, I'm interested in him. He's interested in me. In fact, we've been interested in each other for quite a while
But you are
now.
not able to date.
We are not able to date. We've been interested in each other for months.
Now we know where the interesting point was.
Our chemistry is, you were talking about chemistry,
Biology and
biology and
chemistry.
physics. For us, it was on 120,000 degrees centigrade. Like every time we would sit down, the conversation was rich. It was deep. It was godly.
Yes.
It was everything that you would want
Yes.
in the man that you will marry. But then it's not going anywhere. And I was frustrated. So I wrote all these things down and I went back to him and I asked him, do you play keyboard? Because I wanted to see, maybe my friend saw a wrong complexion in the dream. Maybe he actually sings. But all those were off. He didn't know how to play an instrument. He didn't sing. He was light. Like everything about this was wrong. And so I went back to God and just said, you know what? I surrender. Now, towards the end of that year, now I am serving in a church. I'm an administrator in that church. And so being a church leader, when visitors come to the service, afterwards you need to say hi to them, get to know their names. And so on this particular Sunday, I went to church. As normal, as usual. And service went on as it usually did. And there were visitors in the congregation, as there were all other times. But on this particular day, something happened. Something was different. So the service is over, and I got to say hi to visitors.
Which was your duty?
Which was my duty. And so I go to say hi to this particular visitor who is seated down next to the one who has brought him, who is a regular at church. And I say hi to my friend who's a regular at church, and then turn to this visitor who is seated. And I am standing right in front of him, and I said, hi, my name is Elizabeth, and you are? And he looks up at me and says, I'm Jason. Whoa. I look him over quickly, and he's dark, and he's tall. And I'm like, wait a minute. Okay, where are the cameras? I'm looking around, where are the cameras? This is a hoax, right? So I compose myself pretty quickly and I ask him, oh, Jason, that's very interesting. What's your other name? And he says, Ochola. So I'm like, Ochola, that means you are Luo. Okay, do you have any other name? He's not looking at me strange and he says, yes, Jason Franklin Ochola. I'm like, okay. That's really nice. Do you play the keyboard? Like I was in such shock. I went right into it. Do you play the keyboard? He says, yes. Do you sing? Yes, I sing. And by now I am almost on the floor. I'm thinking, wait, this is a scene in a movie. So I look at him and I say, okay. By now he's looking at me very strangely. Like, what is wrong with this woman?
I would look at you strangely.
So I say, okay, so you play the keyboard. Do you play any other instrument? And he said, yes, I play drums. I said, okay. It's good to meet you. Bye. And I took off. I could not stand there anymore. Because now he was starting to give me those eyes. He was narrowing his eyes and looking at me like, do I know you from am I under investigation? What kind of church is this? Do women in this church behave like this? Like, did I come to the wrong church today? Should I have gone to a different church? And so I took off and I went to the washroom. And I looked into the mirror, slapped myself a couple of times because I thought I was actually dreaming.
Yeah.
But it was not a dream. I didn't see how this could be a reality. And And I stepped out looking very strange, and I decided I will avoid this man with everything I have.
Yeah.
Because I did not want him to notice me and ask, wait, you're the lady who came to speak to me earlier. Why were you interrogating me? Why were you asking me all those questions? Because I would not have said, I think you're my husband. You're the husband of the dream that my friend had, and we will be getting married, and the colors of the wedding are this. And
run away, run away, flee every appearance of evil, run away,
this
do
one.
not come back. This is a cult. This.
Are you mad? Like, I do not know you. What do you mean I will marry you? So, what was your story in 2011?
Well,
As until this point where you get to meet this woman who
who's
has
interrogating me?
who has dreamt about you, and now you are here in reality.
So when you went to the prayer mountain and God is talking to you about relationships and marriage, and you feel that you are lost at this prayer mountain, that same year, I think around the same time, I'm still in this relationship with this lady that I met in campus. And remember in the last episode I said I had cut off communication? Men, if you're listening to me, listen well. Women thrive on communication.
We do. That's right.
So if you stop talking to them for whatever reason, whether you are angry at them or they were angry at you, in fact, they are angry at you, they still need you to talk. So women thrive on communication. When you cut it off, they start breaking down. And that's what I did. I didn't know it was going to affect this lady because she was the first woman I was in an actual relationship with that lasted a number of years. 4 years after being in a relationship, I suddenly cut off communication. And I cut off communication for about 6 months.
So the reason that you cut off communication was because you felt you were living wrong and you needed to make things right?
Yes,
Okay.
I felt we were doing wrong and I didn't know how to break it to her.
So this was your escape.
This was my escape. Do whatever I need to do to run away from the life I was living. And our communication got so bad. And December of that year, a mutual friend of ours is having a graduation bash. I've not seen this girl for at least 6 months now. And I'm headed to the friend's bash somewhere in Eastlands, Nairobi. Sometime later, guess who walks in?
Uh-oh.
Having been invited by this mutual friend.
Uh-oh.
The same lady I have not spoken with in a number of months.
Wow.
Now you have to realize, no one knew that we were going through a constraint in our relationship. That things were not okay.
Everyone still thought that you guys are together.
Everyone thought we were together. In fact, from campus, people knew that after campus we were getting married. Because we were that couple. You remember I told you of the biology and chemistry that led to physics?
Yes.
We were that couple. Someone had even ever bought us in advance the wedding present.
Wow.
That's how serious we were. Because you see, for me, growing up, I was not dating for the sake of having a girlfriend. I was dating towards marriage. So I knew I'm getting into this relationship towards marriage.
Okay.
That was my goal. So that after campus, I know I'm getting married.
And that is actually how it should be.
That's the best way that people should follow. Don't just date to have a girl by your side or a dude who's gonna pay your pedicure and manicure. No. Date with an agenda of marriage. So I knew we were in this for keeps. But the life we were living was not okay with me. I had to break it off at some point. I didn't know how. I've never broken a girl's heart. I've never broken a relationship. So this is me facing life. My dad had never taught me how to not break a woman's heart. So this is life happening. I went quiet and I meet her months later at this event. Our immediate circle of friends knew that we were having some rough time, but they did not know the details of the rough patch that we were going through. And here we are, we have to keep up appearance.
Whoa.
And many of our friends from campus were there. So we have to keep up the appearance. We have to sit together. We fidgetingly had to hold hands.
No.
It was very awkward. For the people watching us, it was okay. But for us, it was very awkward. Let me talk for myself. It was very awkward for me. How we went through the entire party still beats me to date. Now, the party has ended. And we have to come to terms of what our relationship has become.
Now the silence has to be broken.
The silence has to be broken.
For real
The
now.
conversation has to pick up.
Oh, has to be heard.
Tune in the next episode to know how the story ended.
No, we want to hear.
Tune in the next episode.
No, now it can't end here.
That is where it's getting juicy.
Suspense.
Yes.
Okay, fine. We'll wait.
Please do.
Subscribe, talk to us.
At Couple for Life, lyfe@gmail.com, and follow us via our social media handles, Instagram and Facebook at Coupled for Life.
See you in our next episode.
Love like this, whoever thought it could be? All I know, God had picked you for me.